Okay. Well, hello everyone. This is Dan King at Fistbump Media, and I just want to say thanks for joining another one of our amazing webinar series. This one focused on business strategy today, and this is a cool one too because this is something that has been really near and dear to my heart for several years as a small business owner myself, and continuing to try to grow our business, and thinking about the elements of what does it take to make it work, right? So we're going to take a look at business growth with the three elements of what I call the revenue formula. And this is something I know some other people have kind of written about. You may have seen this formula in other places too, but today, really, ultimately, my goal is to not only show you this formula, talk about what the three elements are, but I want to take a look at a little bit deeper some strategies to help you focus on how you're going to use each of the three elements to drive business growth for you. If you're watching this live, then if you're watching on the Fistbump Media page, there should be a live chat right below. Feel free to drop any questions that you might have down there, and I'll try to respond to those as I can, or hit them at the end or whatever. Or if you're watching on the YouTube channel, watching live, there should be some live chat off to the side here. But regardless, please, if you're watching live, feel free to drop any questions. And if you're watching afterwards, awesome. Hit us up, in the comments section below or anything like that on the Fistbump Media website or on the YouTube channel if you have any questions. We'll try to respond to those as fast as we can. So without any further ado, really, I want to tell you too that this is a piece of strategy that, as we focus on it, to kind of give you an idea of how we try to fine tune each of the elements in this revenue formula, and what it's done for us is that over the last several years, I would say about 4 or 5 years that I've really been tracking this, we've experienced anywhere from about 40 to 70% growth year over year for our revenue and stuff. So we continue to grow really strong over time by just continuing to hit and hammer on the elements within this. So what I'm going to show you today is going to reflect some of the things that we've done, and we haven't always been doing these things, but really, as we kind of take this mindset of just continual improvement and testing and trying things to see what's going to work and what's going to actually ultimately impact the bottom line for us in each of these three areas, the end result of this is going to be increased revenue. And that's why we see that 40 to 70% year over year growth every year. And this is 2020. When I'm recording this right now, this is 2020, even in the COVID year. We started off, we had some kind of questionable months early on as everybody was kind of freaking out and stuff too. But the last four or 5 months now have really been some of the strongest months that we've ever had for revenue growth too. So even though it started a little flat, we're really kind of continuing to spike back up. Even in 2020, this kind of thing works if you focus on doing things well. So without further ado, let me go ahead and jump into the formula here. So here's the formula, right? And this is the formula for revenue. It's just the revenue formula. The R on the one side of the equation there is revenue, right? So these are the three other elements. They're going to ultimately result in revenue. So if you're building any kind of business, especially if you're doing something online where you can really focus a lot of your digital efforts towards driving revenue for you. For us as a digital agency, right? We sell website hosting. We have some e-courses. We do search engine optimization services and stuff like that, right? So we have a few things that we offer, and really you can get to any of that stuff and purchase any of that stuff from us online, right? So I can focus on this really completely online too, but this whole revenue formula really can touch on no matter how you are bringing in business. Ultimately, it's going to get down to these three elements that are going to drive what kind of revenue you end up making. And the revenue formula is, as you see on the screen, is T times C times E equals R, which is your revenue. And that T piece, that's traffic. So whether it's website visits or a little more offline, it's people calling your cell phone or whatever it is. We're talking about the number of people that actually start to come your way and visit to kind of begin that sales process, right? However they're doing it. If it's just calling your cell phone up and saying, hey, can you come do this for me? Or visit to your website. They are exploring something that could potentially result in a sale for you. Now, traffic is interesting because obviously, I think anytime somebody's building an online presence, and building a website to try to attract new business or whatever, traffic seems to be the one element that people seem to focus on the most. How can I drive more traffic to my website, because that's going to result in sales? And really, as you see this equation, it's only 1/3 of the equation, right? So we'll take a look at that. And I always try to take the approach of it's not necessarily about driving the most traffic, it's about driving the right traffic, the kind of traffic that's really going to engage and really going to convert with you and give you results. So we're going to take a look at the traffic strategies there. But the next piece here too, this is the big one, right? And I think this is where you start to have a lot of impact, because no matter how much traffic you're driving to your website, or whatever vehicle it is that you want to try to use to try to attract those customers and engage them initially, the next piece here is the C, the conversion, right? How do I take those website visitors and turn them into a lead or a contact and eventually an order, right? So it's that website visitors don't mean anything if you're not capturing and converting them somehow into a lead. I worked with a client once where they're like, hey, let's go big budget, all out Google ads, right? And spent a lot of money focusing on driving people to Google ads and stuff too. And I eventually end up convincing them, let's drop that, right? Let's drop it completely, because it's not driving the conversion results. It might have been driving the traffic to the website, but those people are not necessarily converting and picking up the phone or filling out the form on the website or anything like that too. We were looking in our Google Analytics to figure out which traffic sources we're actually spending more time on the website and converting better and stuff too. And that's the kind of thing that we want to look at. How do we capture those people and get them to take the next step? So that's even one of those elements where traffic is not necessarily the end all be all of what's going to drive the most revenue for you. You can get a lot of traffic. Let's get the right traffic, but then focus on how do we convert those people and capture them so that we can begin that sales process with them. Okay. All right. So the next piece is the economics, right? And the economics is one thing from a digital strategy perspective. There are some things that we're going to look at that you can do there, but really that's ultimately how much is the dollar figure that you're selling, right? That's the dollar piece for for the whole revenue formula equation, right? So when you look at this, if you take the things and consider how much traffic are you driving to the website, and is it the right kind of traffic, right? Consider the traffic that we're driving to the website. What are we doing to convert that traffic, to capture those leads, and then to move them further into our sales funnel and our process there? And then what are we making off of any of those that turn into some kind of order? How much is that order, right? So there's some things too that we can even do from a digital perspective. I'm going to show you in a minute when we look at the economic strategies that can impact that and maybe raise that dollar figure of that initial order for you, so that ultimately in the end, your end revenue ends up being higher, right? So think about that for a second, right? If you were to focus just on the economics piece and implement some of the economic strategies that I'm going to show you a little bit, and if that turned into higher sales figures, you can increase your total revenue. You don't have to drive any more traffic to your website, and you don't have to get any more conversions off your website, just by impacting the economics and what that initial sale is going to be like. Can end up showing us much greater revenue and stuff. But with that said, right, you can see how changing one element can impact the whole end result of the formula. If you're focusing a little bit of effort on each of the three elements, right, then that's when you're going to start to see some of that rapid growth, that 40 to 70% year-over-year increase in revenue that I mentioned that we experience by doing that and focusing on all three of these elements. Okay, so the first piece of this equation is the traffic element, right? The T. Let's take a look at some of the traffic strategies here. Okay, so really there's two key things that I look at when we talk about building a traffic strategy, and the first is that we're going to build for authority. Okay, so what I mean by that is you want to make sure that your website itself is structured to do well for the keywords that are really most important for how people are going to find you. Okay, so let me take a look at this here real quick, and I want to show you an example. All right, and before that, let me back up real quick because I want to take a look at how I even track this. And this is going to be something too. If you're watching on the Fistbump Media website, on the webinar page on the Fistbump Media website, there's going to be a set of links below that are resources that are mentioned in here too, right? So this whole formula, basically, I use a little spreadsheet, and I've created a sample copy of the spreadsheet that you can use. You can save, and if you want to save a copy for yourself, just go to File, and you can make a copy and save it to your drive, or you can download it as an Excel spreadsheet format to your desktop or whatever, right? So you can take this and use this yourself if you'd like to. But when I look at that traffic formula, when we look at the traffic formula and we say traffic times conversions times economics equals the revenue, here's what I do. And these are just some sample numbers that I dropped in here. But the first thing I look at is the new users, the visitors to the website. And where I get that is in our Google Analytics. We can see a few things here too, right? And this is just a period of time here for the Fistbump Media website, just this month so far. You can see total users, but new users, that's the one that I'm actually really looking at, because new users are the ones that are first time users that are coming to visit the website, right? I'm not counting as much right now into this as an existing user, maybe one of my customers who's come back to the website to look something up or whatever. I want to track new users. These are the new contacts who haven't been on our website before and want to come to us, right? So that's the key traffic metric that I'm going to track, right? So I bolded it here too. You see the new users for the website. Give it a number, right? And drop that in. Now, regardless of how they come through, and I use, and I'll talk a little bit more about this in a minute too, I use a CRM to help kind of capture and track and monitor my leads. It's the HubSpot CRM. But I look in there and I get a number for how many new leads, how many new contacts have I created each month. Right, so you're going to track that, right? Those new contacts added. If somebody, again, if it's offline, if they pick up the phone and call you, give yourself a tick mark somewhere or something like that too. If they fill out a contact form to ask for more information, check that out. If it's their first contact with you is buying some product that you sell online, digital product or anything like that, right? Some kind of lead capture form or something. Any of those are those new contacts, new leads and stuff. So you want to track and monitor that. You'll see even with that, I even come up with a conversion rate, that I call the from the website visit to lead, and so I can see how many of those visitors that come to the website convert into actual leads in my system that I can follow up with. Don't be surprised if it's kind of a low number. A lot of people might visit the website for a lot of different reasons. It doesn't necessarily mean that everyone's going to become a lead. But then here's another big key piece that I look at, right? Is then how many of those leads then turn into orders? Those are key conversions. That's the ultimate goal for what I want to try to monitor and stuff, right? Is I get a certain number of website visitors, and how many of those are going to turn into sales, an actual sale that's going to have a dollar figure associated with it. And that's the end conversion that I want to track. But you can see that there are a few different conversions in here, right? So I'm even looking at a conversion rate from web to lead. So I might even focus on a little conversion strategy for how can I use my website to convert more of those people into leads? How can I use my website just to get a couple more people's email addresses and first names or whatever, so it's not always just about sales. There's a conversion there that I'm looking at, but then, a big conversion rate that I track and I want to monitor when I relate it back to that equation, traffic times conversion. Here's the conversion rate that we're looking at is, from those website visitors, from all of those new users that are coming to me, how many then convert into an order? And that might be an even lower number. You're not going to convert every lead that you get into a sale. Hopefully it's fairly high, but you're not going to convert everyone. But I also look at a conversion rate just from that lead. How many of those leads turn into sales, and what's that percentage rate and stuff? So maybe there are some things that I can do to improve how I sell and pitch my products to every lead that comes in. So the higher I can bring that number up, ultimately it's going to impact the equation level rate, which is the web to order. Okay. And then I also look at the average initial order, right? So I'll plug in a number here too and track and say, here's my total dollar figure for all the sales. And it doesn't matter if somebody purchased a $5 simple product for me or a $5,000 mega project, right? I'm going to add all of those together and plug that total new revenue in, that total new sales for the month into this figure. Now I've got the formula set up and stuff. If you kind of look and say, hey, these are some of the key numbers that I'm tracking. I plug in that total revenue number for the month, the total sales, and based on the number of orders divided by the total revenue, I'm getting my average initial order, right? And that's the average initial order. That's the economics, right? So I want to look at ways, how can I bring that number up, right? So the three key things, right? How can I bring that traffic up? How can I focus on my conversions and end up with more sales to bring my conversion rate, the web to order up? And then how can I increase my average initial order, which is going to be your revenue, that total sales figure at the end that you're going to see rise as you focus on those things. And one thing that's really interesting is, if I increased my website traffic by 10%, that's not necessarily going to increase my total revenue by 10%, right? But increasing my orders, right? To get that conversion rate up, increasing orders here, just in the example numbers that are on here, 10% would be one more order. That'll improve my conversion rate a certain amount, and an average initial order, obviously that's going to impact my bottom line quite a bit. And that's why I say too that the traffic isn't necessarily the end all be all of how you're going to return more revenue from driving more efforts online. It's really all of the elements working together. All right, so back to this. Let's take a look at the traffic element. Okay, so the two traffic strategies here, and the first one is to build for authority, right? So when you look at your website, you want to make sure that it's structured well to give you the authority on search engines, so that people are going to find you for the ways that they search for the services and the things that you offer. Okay, to do that, the first thing I start with is really some solid keyword research. And then I use that keyword research to help me design the website to highlight that authority. So I'm just going to point out here real quick too. This is something that we have. It's one of our gigs on Fiverr that we do a keyword research, and we'll run what your website is currently ranking for. Use some seed keywords that you think you might need to be ranking for and stuff too. And we look for all of the opportunities and try to find what are the best opportunities. And it doesn't always mean this is the term that more people are searching for. If more people are searching for that term, but the competition is really high and hard and stuff, then maybe that's not a better fit. If there's something that gets half the traffic that you can rank number one for much easily, you might see a lot more traffic, as an end result for that. And so that's ultimately what it is, in identifying the words, the terms that people are actually using, because what you think your product or service is may not be what they're actually searching for. And here's an example of that too. And this is one of our clients, and we use them quite a bit in some of our webinars as an example and everything too. But it's a really, really great example. So this is a roofer, a local roofer. And they have a few products, right? They do the roof replacement, they do the roof repair, but with the inspections, they use a cool name for their inspections, the Tip Top Roof Checkup. Roof maintenance might be a product that they call their Roof Care Club. So that they work with homeowners over time and stuff to make sure that their roof is being properly maintained and it's going to extend the life of the roof and stuff like that, right? So Tip Top Roof Checkup and Roof Care Club, those are key elements of what they do and what they offer, right? But how many people do you know are out there doing a Google search for Roof Care Club or Roof Care? Roof maintenance ends up in our keyword research being the term that they're using much more frequently instead of Tip Top Roof Checkup, right? And they might not be looking for a roof checkup. They might be looking for roof inspection. How do I get somebody to look at my roof and inspect my roof to see if it's okay? Now, the product they offer for that is what they call their Tip Top Roof Checkup. But what people are looking for is a roof inspection, right? So we build the website so that it has the structure where we have core, what we call authority pages for each of the main elements of what they provide for the customers and how they're searching for them. So that people search for roof replacement, people search for roof repair, roof inspections, and roof maintenance, right? So we've structured the website, and you see our services here listed here too as well. We've structured the website well so that it ranks well for those core terms that we know people are searching for. So that's a really, really big piece of, how do you build the website for authority, starting with the keyword research to identify the words that people are actually using. And it doesn't matter what you call your stuff or what you want to call it or how you want to highlight it on the website. It's all about how do I set myself up and set my website up so that it's going to draw that traffic from the search engines because I'm ranking strongly as an authority on that topic. Okay, that doesn't mean you need to give up your cool, awesome product names. Talk about your product name on the page that's structured for those keywords for that authority. Okay, the second big element of for the traffic strategies is content, right? As you build for authority, I think a lot of people think, especially small business owners, think, "Oh, I built a great website, and maybe I did this, maybe I used keyword research and highlighted the authority, got the right pages built and structured and stuff, right? Maybe you've done all of that. That's great, right? But then all of a sudden, the second you leave it alone, you start missing a lot of opportunities to draw in other kinds of traffic, to be the resource to answer questions that people might be having, right? Because here's the thing, again, to use the roofer as an example, people might be searching for roof replacement, but if you're also searching for roof replacement, some people might be, hey, what color shingles go best with my home? So people may be searching for those shingle colors and stuff too. So this is where the content piece of the strategy comes in, because then you can kind of identify other keyword opportunities to create additional landing pages on your website using your website's blog, right? And we call this content marketing, right? To create that content to help draw in people to answer some of those other questions, okay? So here's another good example of this too, and this is one that we've published on our own blog, right? And it's a blog post, the big blog post that we've written called How to and Why Build a Linktree Page Plus Free Templates, okay? So without getting into technical details of what a Linktree page is and stuff, this is also in the resources below. You can learn about that if you want to. But what this is this is a resource that people use for social media, particularly like on Instagram, to have a single landing page that they can use in their bio link. So anyway, it's something out there that people who are potential interest of clients to me would be interested in building, because we work a lot with the social media, we work a lot with the website and stuff too. And we've created this resource and everything, and want to try to provide some insight and instruction onto why it might be good to not use Linktree, which is a third-party service, but build your own on your own website, get that traffic on your own website. Plus, hey, I got some free templates that you can even use if you want to build it that way. So basically, we write this blog post, but again, this is based off of keyword research, right? So listen, we're a digital marketing agency, but if I don't have any content about something that people are searching for, which I know they're searching for Linktree, because that's something active that a lot of people do that I work with, and we went out and did the keyword research and stuff, and we saw that, man, 90,000 people are searching for Linktree and Linktree alternatives every month. And the competition for it was not super strong, right? So our goal was to build a good, strong resource that people can use. And you see too, and here's our templates. Download your free templates there. But I want to build a strong resource that people can use to build their own, right? So this kind of guides them through the whole process. We've written a blog post that addresses a need that our ideal clients have on a regular basis, and this becomes a source where we can draw new traffic, right? And like I said, 90,000 people per month are searching for this term about Linktree and Linktree alternatives, right? So I'll show you real quick. This is what we've seen. We just launched this earlier this year, right around April 1st. So you can see, the first month traffic was a little bit low. But from a traffic strategy too, and I'll show you some of this because we've done some things to try to continue to build links and drive the SEO value of this blog post over time. But you can see over time, actually I think by mid-May, June, I even stopped any SEO efforts and stuff that we had too. But you can see each month it's continuing to grow in traffic coming to the website, and this is really primarily from search engines. And you can see over the period, it's already driven over 3,000 people to the website. 93% of that is the key new users. So over 2,800 new users have visited our website who didn't know about us before because they were searching for Linktree or Linktree alternatives. So we've been capturing a lot of that too. And you can see, as I'm recording this right now, we're not even at the end of October, and we've already blown away, previous records for the month. And this is actually each per month, so it's not a cumulative thing. This is each per month and stuff too. So it's continuing to grow and continuing to drive more traffic because we targeted something that is of interest to our users, built a strong resource, and invested in some of the SEO work and stuff to make sure that this is going to continue to rank. All right, so where does that start, right? That starts with understanding, what you need to do to create a strong blog post. This is another Fiverr gig that we have that will run and develop do some content research and provide you with a template, right? And the template is It's like, hey, maybe here's your best chance for a keyword that you want to try to go after. Here's some other semantically related terms that you can use within the blog post that's going to help the search engines understand the content better and stuff too. Here's the top 10 pages that are currently ranking for this for your main keyword term, so you can see what they're writing about, because ultimately the goal is knowing what everybody else is doing and create a better resource than all of them, and that's going to get you to rise in authority and continue to draw in more traffic and stuff. Starting with something like this is going to put you more on the right foot to draw that traffic that you want to draw. Okay. The other thing is too, and I just mentioned really quick, is because we do a lot of SEO stuff, right? So on our website, under online marketing, search engine optimization, all SEO services, you'll see a list of all the SEO services that we have, doing things like guest post backlinks and contextual link building. Those are tools that work out really, really great for building the authority, like even for a specific blog post like that. You even see this is a great page too if you're looking at trying to find ways to help improve your search engine optimization. There's a list of the Fiverr gigs that we have, and even some of our blog posts and webinars around search engine optimization, so that you can kind of even learn a little bit more about how to do this stuff yourself. But yeah, definitely check that page out. That's also linked in the recommended resources below. But the key is when I talk about content, you need to create the resources that are going to help your ideal client, right? Know the issues that they are having, create content, develop resources that are going to focus on them, and then really optimize, build the best resource that you can for it, optimize and promote that like crazy, right? So it's not even just share it on social media or anything like that. It's how do I get this thing ranking on websites? And I can tell you that Linktree one, because the traffic that it's drawing has been one of the biggest drivers in increase in traffic for us. And because we have that download the free templates and stuff too, which I'll focus a little bit more on in just a second as we talk about conversions, because I have that has resulted in more leads, more conversions for us and stuff than any other source that we've had for quite some time. So look at that. All right, so let's go back to this equation. So we looked at traffic. The next thing in this equation is conversions. Okay, and when we look at the spreadsheet, right, this is the idea of how do we look at a couple of different kind of conversion rates. How do we convert them from a website visitor to a lead, right? So we might look at conversion rate for web to lead. We might look at conversion rate from lead to order. How many of those leads turn into actual orders for you? But really we want to try to figure out from that foot in the door all the way to order. What is that conversion rate right there? So there are a few different elements that you can look at when we're talking about conversion rate, but let's look at conversion strategies. Okay. The first conversion strategy I want to talk about here too, and the key idea is that you should be creating very hyper specific offers. And what I mean by that is that the offers that you create, think about the resources that you're developing, and as we look at like this Linktree page, right? This post about Linktree, and that's driving a lot of traffic for me. But the conversion element on here too is so by the way, this might sound great to you. You need the free templates that I'm offering you. So you can get these, you can download these for free, right? But this is something, it's not just a general, hey, sign up for our newsletter, to get special offers or deals. This is a very hyper-specific offer where it's really relevant only to the people who are reading this blog post, right? So they'll see this offer on the page, and then I've got them, they basically land, and when they click on that, they land on the landing page, the lead capture page, just for these templates, right? Where they can see and view a demo of each of the templates and stuff, right? So maybe they're looking at one and, oh, that looks really cool. Yep, that's definitely a template that I might want to use. And even link back to the blog post and stuff too. But here's how I download my templates, and just kind of plug in, email address, first name, last name. Website is optional here in this case, but that's what they do. I've got the lead capture form on there too. Even right at the top of the page, when I say download for free, it just plops them right down to the form. Fill that form out and download, and they get it. And now I've captured them. I have at least their first, last name, and their email address, and that's what I need. That's a conversion. That's a lead for me to be able to start working. Okay. As I look at other elements of that, right? I can tell you the rates. When I monitor how many visitors visit that blog post and how many leads has it created, I can figure out the conversion rate from the website traffic visiting the blog post to the web to lead, and I could figure that out specifically for this whole setup and stuff, right? But it's using a very hyper specific offer, and then if that conversion rate is not high enough, I can look at, am I making a stumbling block in here anywhere? Am I making it too difficult for people to opt in? Is the offer not good enough? Whatever it is, those are ways that I can look at, even improving what I'm doing with my very hyper specific offer here for this. Here's another one, and this is a case study post that we actually just published, and how to increase sales revenue. Again, this is linked below in the resources mentioned on the webinar page here. But really, not so much about that. But this is a case study about our switch with our CRM from an old CRM over to the HubSpot CRM. In how it's actually helped us. So there's probably some good information here that you might actually appreciate and like. But the big thing I want to call out is one of the things we use this for is because we want to try to capture leads of people who are interested in using tools like HubSpot, right? Because we may do some work to help maintain and manage their website. We may do some work to help them with the content marketing aspect of things, right? So these the people who are interested in this are again people who are interesting to us, right? So I optimize this for increased sales. I optimize it for HubSpot and stuff too. So hopefully I'm going to be monitoring, doing the same things to try to drive the traffic and get that traffic over to the website. But what do you see on this page is our hyper specific offer, right? We've created the free PDF download that people can use, and all they have to plug in is their email address and first name, and that's the only thing I'm capturing here, because I've determined that really ultimately I don't need anything else in order to be able to start my conversation and communication with them, right? I want to be able to call them by name, and I need an email address to be able to do that. I can end up with a phone call or a video conference, like a Zoom or something like that or whatever. But all of that can come just from our initial contact via email, and I can call them by first name. So that's all I need. But you see, it's just a PDF guide that I put together as a resource that goes along with this blog post, right? So, hey, if you're using HubSpot, here are some of the best integrations that we use, right? So I didn't have to create a big, crazy looking resource or anything like that too. I just created a big list of, here's 7 that we use. Copy over the description of that integration from HubSpot, from their app marketplace. And then just write 2 sentences about why it's important to us, why we think it's a must-have HubSpot app integration, So it's a pretty simple resource to put together, but it's very specific to somebody who might be looking at this post going, this sounds really interesting. Plus, this is a cool little bonus. Let me plug in my name, email address. Now I've done that lead capture piece, and I can begin working on them as a lead in our system. So that's the other piece here, right? Is to develop, when you're creating the hyper-specific offers, develop easy tools that you can just give away anytime. And then focus on resources that add really great value, right? So that last one, we're looking at HubSpot. If somebody's considering and going, oh yeah, I'm going to switch to HubSpot. it's that resource of what the best app integrations are can really help them a lot get a leg up. Even if I never talk to them or they never hire me or whatever too, it's a good resource for them. So there's good motivation for them to plug in their name and email address to start working. And keep it simple. And that keep it simple piece is, you notice on that last HubSpot one, all I was asking for was a first name and an email address. I wasn't even asking for a last name in that case. I wasn't asking for the website. I wasn't asking about their company size. I didn't have a big long form that they need to fill out and jump through 20 different hoops in order to get the resource. Keep it as simple as possible. Grab the minimal information that I need in order to start my conversation with them too. Because studies have shown too that every time you add another field, your chance of conversion drops, right? So the simpler you can keep it, the better, right? So keep your opt-in forms for any of your lead capture conversion stuff. Keep it as simple as possible. And then the third thing when it comes to conversion strategies, right? Because as we look at that, right, a lot of that has to do with, how many of those website visitors are we turning into leads. But the other piece of the conversion is that lead to order piece, right? How many of those leads are turning into sales, into new orders? And the big strategy here is that you should never give up on your leads, right? I see a lot of people say, okay, well, I got the email address from so-and-so. I sent them an email and they never replied. So it must be dead. There's no opportunity there. Okay. And the reason I say never give up on your leads is because if they did opt in, people are wise enough these days too to know that if I drop my email address somewhere, then where I'm dropping it, they're going to use it. Right. So here's the deal. They can always unsubscribe. Right. So if they want you to stop communicating with them, they can unsubscribe. It should be part of your email structure and it should be easy for them to do. And it's okay if they do. Some people will, right? So that's why, your conversion rates are never going to be 100%, but you have that email address, that name or whatever to begin a communication process with them too. And I like to, and actually that case study will kind of dig into what we did, but I like to build kind of even an automated sequence of stuff too. But even the automated sequence, I really even start with, just send an email, just write them a quick email, say, hey, I just saw you downloaded this report or whatever. Love to know what your thoughts are. If you want to talk about it, schedule some time with me and we can happy to talk. And then set myself a reminder to follow up with them in a few more days. And say, hey, just want to check in. Now that you maybe have had a little more time to think about it and stuff, what questions do you have? How can I help? Whatever. And the big thing is here too, and I mentioned this, number one is just keep the communication going. Just keep it going as long as you can. And don't try to oversell, right? Don't oversell, just be helpful, right? Just be a resource. And that's what's going to continue to engage people into this. And the reason I say never give up on your leads in this way is because I've seen over and over and over again that somebody gets a resource from me and I send the first email, no response. If I'm tracking that in my HubSpot CRM, you see in that case study, you'll see that I can see if they opened the email or not. I can see if they clicked on a link or not or whatever. But regardless, I send them that first email, no response. Send them a second email, no response. Sometimes it's the 5th or 6th or 7th or 8th email that I send where they finally go, yeah, hey, this is fantastic. I'd love to talk. And you get that reply and stuff too. So the idea is you never give up. I even have kind of a sequence that I've created and I use for certain types of contacts that come in. When a lead comes in, they'll get a series of emails from me. But then even after that series is done, I even kind of put them in kind of, maybe they're cold, maybe I haven't gotten a reply back or something like that after, several email attempts or whatever. Then I put them, basically move them to another list where once a month, this is kind of my cold leads list, right? Or once a month, I'm going to even send an extra offer, special offer, like, hey, just thought I'd throw you, we're running a little discount right now on so-and-so. Just thought you might be interested in it or whatever, So once a month, I have an email that goes out to all of the people who've kind of fallen into that cold system, basically, where they're not responding. And I have seen people respond to those later on down the road, So unless they unsubscribe and basically say, stop contacting me, that's kind of the harsh way to say it, right? But unless they do that, don't give up on them. Keep them part of the communication funnel over the long term. Have a strategy to continue to build that out over time and stuff. Even if it's like I did, move them to a cold list where, maybe it's just a once a month email, a little reminders like, hey, I'm here, by the way, and I can help you with those things that I know you're interested in. But keep it going. Don't oversell. Be helpful. Be a resource to those people, but don't ever give up. Okay. All right. So we've talked about traffic and building traffic. We talked about conversion. This is the big one, right? Because increasing conversion rates just a little bit, getting one more sale because you stuck with that email chain and not just sent one email and they didn't respond. Because you did what you could to improve the lead capture stuff coming from the website, right? Those things, that little things, resulted in just a few more leads. You can see how that can have a big impact on the overall revenue and the end of the equation here. But so we've talked about traffic, we've talked about conversion. Now let's talk about economics, okay? And there's a few things when I look at the economic strategies. So the first one is it's really kind of looking at yourself, right? It's consider your pricing. Are you charging enough? I've seen times where the products I offer, I might set a price for something, and 5 years later I'm still charging the same price and stuff too. Maybe I need to review my pricing. Is this in more demand? Do I need to charge more for that product or whatever too? It's one question you can kind of ask yourself about that too, because that is a factor that will help increase the economics of a sale, right? And really, essentially, what we're looking at, if we go back to the revenue tracking thing too, what's that average initial order? How do I increase that dollar figure? So one of the things that you can do is obviously raise your price, right? Are you charging enough for the service or the product that you're offering? The other thing here too is when you look at your pricing is what value-added options do you have? So I've even looked at things like our hosting services and said, you know what? We have a core hosting plan that people love, right? But there's maybe these few extra things that I can do. It doesn't substantially increase my cost, in the core cost of the product as far as what it costs me to be able to run it and offer it. But I can charge a little bit more for it, right? So I've added in some value add stuff so that I can actually even create a more expensive product. And I pitch that to people and stuff too, and it's like, yes, that sounds fantastic. So I've actually sold higher dollar figure products because I've shifted pricing to add more value to it. Are there additional options or side grades, additional services or things like that you could kind of tag on that, even if, hey, I charge $100 for this, but you can get that $100 thing, but you can also add on another $50 and get this thing too, and I'll do that for you as well. So look at that when you're considering your pricing and stuff too. Basically what you're trying to get to is how can you, just through your pricing strategy, impact that average initial order. All right, so this is where then we start getting into some of the things you can do from the digital strategy that I think is pretty exciting, right? And one of them is to consider your presentation. When I say consider your presentation, one of the tools I look at, and I mentioned I used HubSpot for a CRM, right? And I feel like the emails and things like that we do there are great too. But I use another tool called Proposify, also linked in the resources mentioned on the webinar page here below. But Proposify is a really cool tool. It's a digital proposal tool that I can create templates to build my proposals on. And I'll just kind of scan through this real quick too. I've got a little overview of who we are, what we do, map out kind of the scope of services. You can see a couple hosting plans that I mentioned there for managed hosting that I recommend as part of this. Break out details of services. Hey, this is what I do, and this is how it might help you and benefit you, and so on. I can build in a time frame if that's something that's relevant to it too. An investment piece where I list out and say, I mentioned 2 different hosting plans here too, and I think this is the right one for you. but it's interactive as well. The client can just say, that might be what you recommend, but I really want this one instead. I'm going to come back to some of this as well too, but it's really neat because I highlight the team, highlight a testimonial. If there's kind of a contract statement of work kind of thing too, you can kind of build that in there. And in the end, they can sign basically online and do like a digital signature kind of thing stuff and accept the proposal as well. One of the things that I have noticed using a tool like Proposify has helped us increase our initial sales, and it's done that because of two things. One is because this has ended up being way better than me just listing out the details in a very long email to them and saying, okay, I recommend you do this and here's the price for that, and basically send them an email proposal that they just reply to and say, it sounds good, let's do it. Okay, so I've stepped up the presentation and what it looks like. So they get this link, say, hey, check out the proposal. They click on it. It's cool, interactive, can sign online, all this stuff, right? So that alone has helped me close more deals and actually close them for higher dollar figures as well. Okay. But now the other element is this as well too, right? When I say consider your presentation, the other piece of this is, talking about offer options. Okay. I like to do what I call develop a good, better, best approach to the products and the services that I offer. And then I spend some time and effort in that proposal where I can make it nice and neat and pretty. Create it once, by the way, too, and use that as a template for future ones. So I'm not having to recreate, retype everything all over again. But then I kind of educate them on the value of the options, right? And what that looks like is this, okay? So you see core budget here, and just in this example, content marketing, a good approach would be is if you did 2 blog posts a month. Let's do one of 500 words, 1,000 words. This is how much it would cost you. And then I say a better approach would be doing 4 blog posts a month, 2 of the 500 words and 2 of the 1,000 words. And this is how much it would cost you. The best approach is going to give you the best impact is going to be 4 blog posts a month and in this kind of range, right? And that's how much it costs, right? So I might even then, as I create the proposal, even go ahead and pre-check and say, you know what, right now, for where you're at, this is what I would suggest. I would recommend this. And then again, they could say, well, no, maybe I need to keep that part of the budget down a little bit. Or they may look at it, and as I educate them on the value of doing the best approach and stuff like that too as well in my scope of services, and do a good job kind of selling that there and educating them on the value that it adds for them. I have seen people take what I have recommended them from a good, better, and best, and then go to the higher level as well, right? So now I just increased my average order, my order dollar value, by giving them the options from a good, better, or best approach for what they end up choosing. And that's another big factor. Not only the presentation of the proposal has looked nicer, but because I've been enabled them to choose, this might be a better option. This is going to be an upgrade from what I was expecting. This might be what Dan is suggesting for where I'm at right now that we get started. But you know what? I do want to go a little bit more aggressive. I see the cost of that. Let me go ahead and do that. That works for me. And then it even puts me in a situation too where I'm not even trying to sell the highest dollar package, right? I just included it as an option and educated on the value of how we build this thing out. Okay. So when it comes to the economic strategies, you can see how a piece of this is looking at your own pricing and stuff, right? So going back to that proposal, I want to make sure my pricing is right and accurate for what I need to make off of it, and I got the right margins and all that fun stuff. But I look at the value-added options, right? I want to make sure my presentation, my proposal looks nice and clean and professional and stuff, because that raises their impression of me. I'm not just some hack sending them an email. It's just like, wow, this is a really nice looking presentation. It's laid out well, structured well. It's got all of the information I need. It's easy for me to scan over and kind of see where I'm at and stuff too. But I've got the options, right? And I see the value in going this option. That is something that has also then increased the total orders and stuff too, and has helped us raise our average initial order. And really, honestly, that's one of the easiest things that you can do. So when you think of that whole equation, traffic times conversion times economics, you can make that change, right? And implement a tool like Proposify and use the good, better, best kind of approach to how you're pitching your services to people. And you don't have to change traffic or your conversion rate one bit, and you just hugely increased your revenue. Okay. But when you're looking at that whole revenue formula and you go back and say, hey, I'm doing XYZ, creating better resources and stuff to try to drive more traffic, right? I'm doing a better job of capturing those leads and working those leads and never giving up on them and stuff like that too, to improve my conversion rate, to turn them into orders. And I'm working to improve my orders, my average dollar figure for my orders, to improve the economics of it and stuff. And in the end, if you build a strategy that's going to focus on all three of those elements, your total revenue is going to continue to skyrocket and increase. So if you grab this spreadsheet and this download stuff too, this is something you can just plug in. You keep your records and stuff like that everywhere else too, but just kind of grab a few numbers, from some reports or whatever. Look at your Google Analytics at the end of the month. How many new users did I get on the website? Look at your the leads that you got in, however you're tick marking it or tracking it, and in a HubSpot CRM or anything like that. How many orders do you get? How many sales? What was the total dollar figure of all of your new sales? Consider all those factors and stuff too, and you can see how then you can start to play with and work on different elements and stuff. And one thing I would encourage you as well too is that set goals for yourself. Okay. So as you're looking at the spreadsheet, and right now this looks kind of crazy. I have sample data in here for 1 month, right? And it's just a moment to kind of show you how to use this. I have sample data in here for 1 month, but the average here is the formula is basically checking out the whole spread for for the whole year, then divided by 12. Okay. So you can adjust that stuff too. If I want to just look at the 1 month, I can say, change the range of the fields there and change it to divide by the number of months that they're there. But so you can change that average and stuff as well too. But set yourself some goals for where you want to be. Maybe just look at where you're at to start with, and then look to set a goal to say, I want to improve my conversion rate by 10% or something like that, and figure out what that goal is going to be. But then typically what I do from month to month to make it easy, I just grab this set of fields here, I copy it, and then I paste it in. But then I can update my traffic numbers, say I only got 500 this month, but I got 30 new leads, and you'll see it'll update some of the formulas for those conversion rates and stuff. It turned into this many, I got 15 orders out of it, and my total revenue that I sold was $6,000. Okay, so you can see how it impacts all of the stuff by updating a few fields. So you can copy and paste that over and build however you want from there. So that's it. That's the revenue formula. The traffic, find ways to drive better traffic, find ways to improve your conversion rate, find ways to improve the economics. You're doing all three of those and you're clicking on that, even improving each of those maybe just a little bit. The end result is going to result in a much higher revenue figure at the end of the day. That's going to help you with your growth for your business. And with that, I just want to say thank you for jumping on and watching. And if you have any questions, hit us up in the comments or grab some time, schedule a meeting with us or whatever too. We're always happy to kind of talk through any of this and answer any questions you guys might have. Thanks. Have a great day. Boom. Fistbump.